I am a content creator. I have a podcast on Tefi Talks. Everybody take out your phones. Let's follow. No? Okay. And I am a columnist for The Cut. I have an advice column. And I am joined here with my friends. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Go ahead, Remi. No.
Hi, I'm Remi Bader. I'm a content creator and a mental health and size inclusivity advocate.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kendall Toole. I am a former Peloton instructor, which is where a lot of people know me from, but I am out launching my next chapter very, very soon, and I'm a content creator as well, mental health advocate.
Hey, I'm Burleson. I annoy people in Washington Square Park, and I'm also a host on SiriusXM TikTok Radio.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Wells. I'm a wife, a mom, a fitness trainer, and I'm just stoked to be here.
Back to me. Okay. So this is a place where we are pushing boundaries about how we can solve the mental health crisis. And today we're going to be discussing the mental health toll of influence and tools that content creators, such as ourselves, use to take care of themselves and their communities. I'd love to hear a little bit first, in your own words, what kind of content do you each create? We're going to go again.
My content's definitely evolved over time. I feel like when I started, it was more of clothing and fashion related, but also comedy, I would say too, and doing clothing hauls. And I would talk about size inclusivity. And I feel like over time, it's just turned into lifestyle in general. Like I show every part of my life.
Yeah, mine's very fitness oriented, unsurprisingly, as a fitness coach for years and years, especially through COVID. And then that also led to me opening up about my mental health very publicly. I did a series on Instagram that was a weekly live series that really kind of took off, and that started opening the next chapter for me, speaking about mental health, and now building a new business.
I do street interviews. I also do, I'm a host on the radio, so I post a lot of my clips from my interviews and stuff, and then a lot of just personality-based content. So if I see an interesting looking bird on the street, like I'll record it and talk about how that is interesting and beautiful to me. So very much what comes to the heart is the content that I make.
Love that. So I started out doing fitness from the lens of mental health. I began my whole career because I was a few months postpartum with my son, very much struggling with my mental health, and I felt like women and mothers needed to be aware. I certainly was not when I was battling that, and so that's kind of how all my stuff began. Now I share whatever I feel with always that same aim.
I'm on birding Reddit, so we have a lot to talk about later.
Oh,
as all mid-30s. Anybody here in their mid-30s? Yeah, me neither. Oh, thank God for you. Okay. Remi.
Tefi.
I feel like I'm like, do you want to be a millionaire? Okay. You've talked a bit about building a community for creators to talk about their mental health. You are always doing stuff in the mental health space. Can you share a little bit on that, like what was like building that community?
Yes. I've been working with a few different organizations that are related to mental health. I've been working with the Jed Foundation a lot on creating almost like creator circles, which I want to broaden more because it's like, I feel like anyone these days can be a creator. You have one video that goes viral, you're a creator. And I feel like in college, when I was in college, they didn't teach courses of how to be a content creator, and now they are. And I do think that there's no like preparation for people that are going into this world. I think anyone that, we all started at different times on the internet, but like for me and a lot of people that started during COVID too, specifically on TikTok, like it just happened really fast. And I do think that there's this like curve and point where negativity comes your way. And I just think that there's more that the platforms should be doing, and there's more that needs to be done to protect people. And I also think I want to bring creators together more to be able to like help each other with how to deal with that.
Was there like a moment, do you remember like maybe a specific video or like a moment you're like, oh, I don't know what, I need community?
Yeah, for me, I do think that it's just so interesting from talking to different people. Like there is this point, I don't know who decides it, but when you become a little bit like, when they see success or people see something that you become a little less relatable. And then it's like, okay, we're gonna find something to go for. And obviously, like, everyone can say what they want online. Like, everyone can be opinionated. I just do think that there's an extent, and I feel like I've definitely, within my 5 years being online, yeah, like, I mean, from, I would say, a year and a half into it, I would start getting stuff, but it's not, you know, I was just getting used to every day being like, fat pig, go kill yourself, you know? So like, I get that on the regular. It's like, why is that allowed to be getting that at all times? And I can't say that everyone deals with it, but I feel like people, all creators deal with it to an extent or have dealt with something. And I just like, I think that there's nothing being done there, and it does, I don't get it.
I think the thing that people see online sometimes is joy. I think people like to be the reason that you're like, be in the comment section, be like, you got this, and the moment you got this, they're like, wait, you're arrogant, or you're cocky, you're confident, you know what I mean? So I think there's like a level of relatability that's lost if you post your joy all the time. So if you're posting that you're frustrated or something, then people want to be like the cheerleaders. But then if you are doing well, I don't think maybe supporters know where they fit, you know?
Right.
And it's true, sometimes when you're going through a mental health, like the comment section will rip you up, you know? There are moments where like the only person I can talk to about this is another content creator. 100%. And it's not to say like other industries don't experience mental health crises, but like if you have a bad day at work, the only people that hear about it is like your supervisor and like your coworker. Not like, I don't need like Katie in Kansas to know that I'm having a really bad day, you know what I mean? What about you? Was there a moment for you where you're like, I need to be in the mental health space more, like uplift more?
Definitely. I think my big moment was feeling, especially when I launched with Peloton, I had a lot of eyeballs very, very quickly. I had a following on Instagram, but by all means, most people bought a Peloton, and all of a sudden I'm teaching and coaching these classes from a tiny room with no one else in it. So I'm talking to myself, coaching, for almost 2 years without another soul in the room, and then noticing that there's a shift in how I'm relating to people on the internet, and that audience is growing bigger and bigger. And transparently, I felt like a fraud. I felt like an imposter. I was like, I'm dealing so much emotionally with being in COVID, living in a studio apartment, being by myself in New York City. My family's at the time lived in California, so I felt really far from community and from support. And one day I just decided to open up about what was really going on, because I felt like the persona that I was putting out in the world and who I truly was just weren't meeting. And it was time for me to take control of some of that narrative. So it was risky, it was scary. I had a lot of people not be supportive, but I did have more people that felt compelled and felt safe to have these conversations with. And I think that's where I knew if I could speak authentically to my own mental health experience and really open up with it, I knew it made me feel a little bit more grounded in creating content, that like I have a purpose or a why behind what I'm doing. And it helped separate some of the vitriol or some of the negative comments that have continued to persist. It feels like society goes through phases when people are extra negative. And I do think we're in a heck of one right now. It's pretty vitriolic out there.
You humanize yourself.
Yes. Yeah, and just kind of you show the other side of the coin. Like, yes, life looks great from this perspective, but let me show you what really goes on. And some people still are like, your life is great, shut up. And you're like, okay, yeah, you're right. There are great parts of my life, and that's okay. And they're welcome to have that opinion, but I don't need to cower by sharing my own truth.
And what about you, Davis? Was there like a moment you were like, I need community, or I need to speak on this, or I need to create a safer space?
Well, kind of like what you were saying is like, at the end of the day, it's interesting whenever your personality or your lifestyle becomes something that you make money off of, and it's your job, and people are watching what you're doing. So I noticed a couple years ago when I was really, everything was new, and I was making content about everything in my life. And I always use this example of like sitting on my couch and being like, oh wait, I kind of want to like make a cake right now. Yeah, like that sounds really fun. And then I think, wait, should I make the cake for content? Yeah, I should, right? Okay, I'm gonna make the cake for content. So then I make the cake and I film the whole thing, and then I post the video making the cake, and then the video doesn't perform well, and I feel like devastated. And I'm like, damn, like that was a waste of time. No one cared, no one liked it, and I feel like bad about myself. And when in the reality, the idea came from just me wanting to do something for myself. So I noticed that, and I did not like that. So I quickly tried to make a shift in my life and kind of put up this imaginary wall with the way that I present myself on social media, because you really don't have to share everything about your life. And so, and your audience, my audience at least, has been so gracious and wonderful and like understanding the way that I operate and like appreciating those boundaries that I put up. So I think it's about like being open, honest, vulnerable about like that we are real people and like that some things are not meant to always be shared, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm. And what about you? Anything?
I think, I mean, if I'm really honest, I don't think I set out to build a community or have really created content focused on community. It's more for me been about connection and connecting to the one, connecting to, honestly, like all of the past versions of me or any past version of me that needed to hear that thing that I feel like I want or need to say. Whether even something as like so superficial as like posting a photo where I feel good about myself and I think I look good, there's so many versions of me that would have never, or that never even thought I ever looked good, or that like were so shrouded in a purity culture that I was raised in that just, like to me that means something. And every time I create content, I think it is all very meaningful and deep and intentional for me, and it's all always aimed at speaking to that person who will feel seen when they see it. And it's not my business who that is, how many that is, but that kind of keeps me, I think, grounded in what I'm trying to do.
That also sounds like a really interesting boundary. Like you're not thinking of community, you're doing it for yourself, so there's not this pressure to be on this pedestal, like lead.
Yeah, well, and myself and anyone who might see themselves in that content. And that's always the goal,
on
right?
them too.
Yes, because I believe that like vulnerability brings connection and connection brings healing. And whether that's one-on-one, whether that's 1 and 3 million, whatever that is, I can't control how I'm perceived. I can only control the place from which I create, my authenticity, my motives, and that'll be perceived, as we all know too well, sometimes really badly, and that's not up to me. And I just know and I trust that if my intentions are good, then those who get it will feel seen, and that will help someone, at least someone, right?
And how long have you been on the internet?
It's been 10 years, actually, last month.
Okay, so anybody that's been, yes, let's
Thank
talk
you.
about, that's amazing.
Thank you so much.
I've never done anything
emotional
for a decade.
feat.
Girl.
But I feel like I changed. Like I feel like if I look back at my content from 6 weeks ago, that's a whole other girl. We're always evolving, and I've been on the internet as long as Remi, like 5 years. So looking back at my old content, I'm like, I don't even know that girl.
Girl, it's weird, huh?
Pink hair, but I'm like, so I feel like there are a lot of changes that happen with our perspectives, the way we talk, the way we think, the way even our mannerisms, you know? So there's gonna be pivots, there's gonna be evolutions. How have you changed the way that you create or show up online since you started your journey? For me, I think boundaries. Like I will not speak about somebody else's story. Like if something happens to my sister and it's her perspective, I won't share it unless it's very embarrassing. Then I have to. One must. She should be in this chair too, talking about her mental health. But what about you? How have you changed on your online presence? How you show up online?
Well, when I started online, I just had zero boundaries. I've always been like an open book with people, but when I would like sit and record and talk in front of a camera, I'm not like thinking about all these people watching it. Like I'm just posting it and doing it. So obviously as time went on, and it was for me more of like the negativity that did come from it, there was just a point that it was taking away from my mental health and me as a person, that I needed to put some boundaries, because I do think the more open you are online, you're setting yourself up for more opinions. I understand that. But yeah, I think I've just had to in the past like year and a half, like I felt like for so long I was just like going, especially with like the quick start that happened with TikTok and what happened during COVID for a lot of creators. So I just like kept going, creating content, and was my mental health was very like secondary to me. And once I made that decision to make it a priority, I was like, I have to set boundaries, and that's what I make a priority now.
Like growth comes second, boundaries come first. What are some of your like non-negotiables, things you won't talk about online?
I don't think it's like I have that. I think it's at a time in my life. Like there was a time in my
that.
life that I was dealing with health issues, and I talked about it so much and people were tearing me apart for it that I was like, okay, well now I'm not going to talk about my health anymore. I've been open and honest with you with the medication I take for, from almost like just every detail of my life, that I was like, okay, well I'm going to have to stop. And that I did see it made a change in like my daily life and how, so I can't say there's like one specific thing, because now I've been, pretty open about that. Again, I think it just depends the time in my life and what I'm going through and what I choose to share. Like I'm allowed to keep some things to myself. I think people forget that.
And I was in that comment section defending you, and I did get a TikTok flag. I did, so I cooled off.
Thank you, Tefi.
But the blocking, I think they understood what I was going, that I would hit them with. Oh, so with you, how do you feel if you look back, at the beginning of your journey?
Oh God, yeah.
How has that changed? Like how you've shown up online? Was that English? Yes.
Yes.
Well, yes.
We're good. I got it. I got exactly what you're saying. Yes. I think I've been online for a very long time, probably as long as Kelsey. I feel like we're the grandmas on the stage. Hey
Girl,
guys.
yeah.
30s are really fun because you come up from being on Instagram. Like I had Instagram in college. So shout out Sepia Filter or Amaro. The real ones know, guys, everything was a square.
Lo-fi.
Lo-fi was fun. But when you are online for such a long period of time, the internet has changed a lot. The way that we connect on the internet has changed, and the way that people build relationships on the internet has changed. So you kind of always feel like you're trying to catch up. And I think that's something at this stage in life. I'm in my early 30s. I'm going from having a very public chapter at Peloton to now launching a whole new business and essentially doing a rebrand. So I'm showing up online differently. I'm keeping more to my chest in the last year than I think I've ever kept online. One, non-compete clauses are really fun, and lawyers will definitely threaten you. So that's great. But it's also been a nice time to sit back and say, where are my values at? What do I want to share moving forward? I don't have to share everything with everybody. And I think I felt compelled to do that. I think a lot of us did during COVID because we were all so chronically online and thirsting for community. But now that we're shifting, we're evolving, I think everyone's kind of like, wait a second. I think we need to take the foot off the pedal, pull back a little bit, and set those boundaries for what you want. I had a mentor who's a film producer who had created some really wonderful shows. And just as everything was taking off with Peloton and during COVID, she called me and she was like, Kendall, I need you to just remember, you need to decide what you're gonna hold sacred. And she said, whatever you hold sacred has to be protected. Because the second that you share it, it's no longer your story anymore. It's no longer your content. It's open up for the world to have an opinion on. And that's something that I think when you're evolving and growing and in your 20s and then in your 30s on the internet, you don't realize that. Because in your 20s, you're still figuring out who the hell you are.
You're still buffering, I like to say.
So it's I think with the internet, I've been trying to give myself more grace and then recognizing if I don't feel like posting, screw it. If there's not something that I feel compelled to say, I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
And not taking it as seriously as I used to.
It's crazy when you share everything and then you're like, okay, I gotta
Right.
listen to Phoebe. I see her every Thursday at 11. We gotta instill boundaries. And then you get messages saying, are you okay? And I'm like, oh, this is a new girl. You don't know this girl.
2.0.
Do you get those messages too, being like, are you okay? And you're like,
You're like, is everything fine?
Better
or,
than
the,
ever.
or the rumor mill, like what people concoct in their head. Because again, when you're evolving publicly, but it's only a piece of yourself, it's not your full self, a lot of people can create narratives because they do feel emotionally connected to you. But that parasocial relationship is really difficult. And I would love to meet any creator who's figured it out because you'll never quite get it. Or you'll meet people on the street and they know so much and you're like, wow, I don't know you at all. And you want to feel that connection they feel and you don't. So there's, I think sometimes guilt that comes with it too, with a community and an audience that people don't talk about.
yeah. Davis, what about you? Are you gonna still make cakes?
The cake chapter, never say never. It's really just if I'm feeling up to be a chef at the time, I have to take the sweaters out of my oven to do that. But for me, I definitely feel like I have evolved over my period of being on TikTok. I started when I was 18. I'm 23 now, so I've gotten through some of these very formative years of my life on the internet, and boundaries have definitely become a thing, whereas before when I was 18, I would do anything for attention. So I would overshare about every story, especially with my dating life, and then I just began to feel embarrassed about like what I would share or feel like I shared too much or whatever. So yes, boundaries one. And then two, I felt, especially when I was growing my audience during this COVID time, we were all chronically online, all the things. I was I felt like I had this kind of ticker clock of I need to go viral now. I need to gain the followers now. There felt like there was this rush. And now I feel a little bit less of a rush because I'm realizing that, God forbid, TikTok is here for now, but social media will always be around and platforms change and evolve, and I have nothing but time. We all have nothing but time to create. So now I'm trying to less follow every trend that comes my way and doesn't really resonate with me, and instead create really what is coming passionately to me and what I really want to create and share with the world, and building my community slowly or as fast as possible. It doesn't really matter. As long as you're creating, what you're creating, you're enjoying. And I feel like right now I'm really starting to enjoy it, which is really an exciting feeling, for sure.
Is that what you mean by imaginary walls? You've talked about imaginary walls before.
Yes. Yeah, like I used to, a big niche on TikTok was like, get ready with me, or like vlog day in the lives. And I was doing a lot of those, and I noticed that I would be in conversations with people, even like right now, and I would think in my head, like, I need to film this, I need to film this, I need to film this moment, I need to vlog it. And I noticed that I wasn't present in the conversations I was in, and I didn't like that. And also too, it's not like those vlogs were like, my #1 performer. I felt like I had to do them versus me enjoying doing them. So I don't really do them as much anymore, and now I make content that I want to make.
Yeah.
So those walls are kind of everywhere.
I remember on your close friend story, yeah, I'm on it. Yeah, I made it. When you were like, I have been without a phone for 3 days, it's changed my mental. And then later, I think it was New York Mag or something, they were like, 3 days. They did brain scans with somebody before and after, like after not being with their phone for 3 days, and everything else was lit up. And I was like, they got that from David. NY Mag is on Davis's close friend. Look at that.
Yeah, they're watching. No. But I do turn off my phone. Everyone knows
that.
in my life, like I'm never on my phone, funny enough, for being a content creator. But yeah, like I don't use my phone that much, which is funny. Like I film and of course all that stuff, but I do, like it's Friday.
Yeah.
About to turn off my phone.
Love it.
And clock out. And in terms of turning off like social media and stuff,
Yeah.
but I can still contact.
I also say I met Davis when he was 21, and he was like, how are you budgeting? I'm like, you're budgeting? I'm not budgeting. You're 21 years old, you're budgeting? He's like, yeah, I'm so good with my budgeting. I'm like, you open Excel? That is crazy. Okay, Kelsey, what is your why? Why do you continue to show up online for, I'm not gonna say community. What should I say?
It is for my community,
Okay.
but
Kelsey,
I was
what do you
prepared to
think?
answer
Okay.
the question they all just answered.
I know.
I'm like, okay, we were joking backstage, and I was like, it depends on the day, it depends on the moment, it depends, like, have I eaten, what phase of my period am I in, like, I don't know, but ultimately, I think it's interesting because speaking of taking a break, I was in a very long contract for my entire career until 3 months ago, and I had very heavy posting obligations. I was having to be online all the time, creating so much content with parameters. And the day that contract ended, I got off social media for 3 months. Guys, I feel like during that time, it wasn't all great. I realized I had, and I don't use this word casually, but a level of addiction to my phone, to social media. I was able to just call a lot of awareness to myself and how it affected me in all levels of my health. And I just think I would encourage everyone to create distance from social media. I know it's cool, I know it's important, I know it can be so good, it can be great. I'm so grateful for it, obviously. It's my career, but it was the best thing I've done for myself since I can remember. And now I have the ability to set my own boundaries and to be very, very intentional with how and why I create, and also very, very intentional with how and what I consume online. And it's so impactful because we get to shape our own worlds. And in the thesis of mental health, which is all this about, my whole why from the jump was helping people redefine fitness for themselves from, at least for me personally, I was 24, had a baby, he was a big surprise, best surprise ever, but I was careening in my mental health. That's when I met severe anxiety. And then about a year later, that's when I met depression. Because I found out that the religious construct that I was raised within wasn't real. It was not what I was taught and thought that it was, and that put my mental health in a very dangerous place. I'm sorry.
No.
I talk about this all the time now, and I very rarely get emotional anymore, but the reason I say this is because my why is really sharp when I remember that phase, because that is when I began my career. I couldn't talk about it at the time. I said, I never want to talk about religion, I never want to be asked about it, but I was so passionate about helping people understand that the small daily efforts are everything, it's enough, and if you change the motive for your movement from something of shrinking yourself and fixing whatever you think is wrong with yourself to taking care of yourself, and looking out for your health, then your little daily efforts in how you eat, how you move your body, they can become such beautiful catalysts to caring for your mental health instead of a detriment to it. And so I was on there postpartum talking about I had a panic attack when everyone else was like, here's my abs in my industry, which is great, show your abs if you want to show your abs, but for me, it was all about helping everyone else understand what I had this huge epiphany of, which is like, it's not what we've been taught, it's for. You know, movement is inherent to life. You can reclaim that, you can redefine that for yourself. And it's so powerful when you do, because it saved me. And it saved me on a level that I couldn't speak to then, but I'll never stop speaking to now. Because there's so many tools that you can use to care for yourself and your mental health, but your internal dialogue and your motivation for the things that you do are the foundation of it all. And so having that awareness and helping anyone else who are in the places that I've been, which is everyone from different things, remember that and realize that is my why.
Can we get a round of applause for our girl? I think a lot of people can relate to you where the world is not what we thought, you know what I mean? Like, especially with all the information online that's coming forward, like even things that are going on in the world, or like nuclear families and dynamics and friendships, you know, like things are constantly imploding. And as creators, as what you were talking about, sometimes as creators, we're there for people's most like pivotal, darkest moments. And they talk to us on the street and we're like, I wish I knew you the way you knew me. And that's, while it can be a little like jarring, it is one of like the best parts of being online. Do you find that to be the best part of being online is maybe being a guiding light for someone who's going through the same?
100%.
Yeah.
I think none of us could say that. Like when someone comes up to me and says hi, I just hug them. Like hugging people is my favorite part, because it's like I said in the beginning, it's that connection. It's like I see you and you see me, and we're all just human beings on this earth.
What's your sign? I have to know.
Okay, I'm a Virgo, Scorpio.
Oh, you're so
Weird,
chic.
but, oh wow, well thank you.
I
I'll
love
take
that. You're double Beyonce.
Girl, is she? I
It's
didn't actually know.
It's September 4th. Any Beyonce fans here?
Absolutely. Of
Wow,
course.
puny and insane. A tiny hive here today. Davis, what do you find to be the most rewarding or best part of being a creator?
Ooh, I would say definitely when people come up to me on the street, for sure, because I have this thing where I can't believe that anybody even watches my videos. So when somebody says something to me that they watch and they say something personal that I'm like, damn, you know that about me, oh my God. It's really, really cool. And then also too, with that, it's like, I grew up obsessed with YouTube and like going home after school and like going to my computer and just wishing that I could, I had the confidence to to post videos online like the people that I loved watching. You know, like I loved like Alicia Marie, Miss Remi Ashton, like these YouTubers, vloggers. I wanted to be them. And so now when people come up to me and they are like, I love what you do. I want to do what you do one day. I want to share like you do. How do you do it? When people ask me that, I'm like, okay. People ask me like, what are your, like, do you have any tips or whatever? I'm like, how long do you have? Let's talk. I love to share, and I want to inspire people, especially like the young gay boys who are trying to figure out who they are and don't necessarily feel incredibly comfortable. I mean, I'm from Texas. I'm the only gay kid from
Texas.
Yes.
State.
Hi.
It's him.
As far as I know, in my like graduating class, like I don't know anyone that is openly out. So I try to openly be proud of who I am, and show that there's a rainbow on the other side of where you currently are. Yeah.
Because gay.
Because gay.
Yes. Well, Kendall, let me ask you, what does never knocked out mean?
Yeah, so never knocked out is a phrase that kind of was a shortened version of something that, it was a family motto. So my dad would raise us, he loved Rocky. Who doesn't love the Rocky movies, right? He had a boxing bag whenever he was pissed off about something going on in his life. He'd hit the bag. Now, later on, I would recognize that was something he would do for his mental health. So I have anxiety and depression, and it's been a really pivotal thing in my family. So my father has suffered with it, my brother. It was a through line in our family experience. And so growing up, I'd hear the chains rattle on the bag. And later on, as I went through my own journey and really struggled in my senior year of college, I recognized, oh, those chains of him hitting the bag were him trying to take his power back. And then I got into the sport, and that helped change my life. But when I was going through my mental health journey, I was moments away from attempting, and my phone lit up, and that I had on silent. My mom had called me 15 times, and that light, when I looked, kind of shook me out of what was about to be very significant. And I picked up the phone, and she was like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Can you come pick me up?" Mind you, I'm at USC at the time. I'm in the film program. I have everything going for me. I'm a cheerleader. I have a 4.0. I fronted so well. I never let anybody know what was going on. And so moved back home, and I was really struggling with the basics, getting out of bed, hygiene, and my parents were talking about an inpatient treatment that I would probably need to do. And I remember he came up to my bedroom, and I'd never seen my dad like this before. He's my dad. He's my big, strong dad. And he looked at me and said, "Sweetheart, your mom and I have talked. We think we really need to, we need to put you in inpatient so we can get through this." And he said, "What do I always tell you?" And he said, "This may knock you down, but this cannot knock you out. But you need to make the choice to get in that fight. I can't do it for you, honey. You need to." And that was, something clicked with that. I'm like, okay, I can't move and take care of me for me, but I want to try to help my parents. I love them. They're a reason I'm still here. My brother's the reason I'm still here. And that started something. So when I got into boxing, and then I started teaching boxing and pivoted my whole life, and then closing out all my classes, even the ones at Peloton, I have everybody say, "You are worthy, you are ready," and they have their fists up, and that they can knock you down, but they can never knock you out. And so what was so beautiful is that words that helped me up at my darkest, most heavy moment of my life, I got to then share with a community every single time I teach a class. And so what's beautiful is it's become words for hundreds of thousands of people who are a part of the Never Knocked Out crew community on social media that they all started themselves. I had nothing to do with that stuff. That was on TikTok. That was them. I said stupid shit on Peloton that went viral, but that was just my idiot self.
I think familiar.
Yeah, there were a couple really good innuendos that got me really good. But what's beautiful is now that's the call, like that's the archetype, that's what the force of the next chapter. And so when I launched this fitness app in like 3 weeks, it's called the Never Knocked Out Club. And it's for the misfits. It's for the people who felt like they were counted out or that they didn't belong in a certain environment or community because they just felt, as much as they could mask it and pretend, that they weren't enough. And so it's really beautiful to watch something that were words that picked me up from that moment to now being something that people have tattooed on their bodies to help them move forward and feel my father's words at scale.
I was gonna say, that would be a sick tattoo right here.
right over the chest, right over the boobs, guys. Just, yep,
And
do
everyone's
it.
thinking it, I look like I can't fight because I can't. But it would be a good tattoo.
I feel like you could.
Well, thank you. Anything, what is the most rewarding part about being a content creator for you, Remi Bader? What's your middle name?
Joe.
Remi Joe Bader. Yes, I do.
I think I'm still figuring that out. Like, I don't want to say the same answer because I think for all of us having that connection in person, it just means so much more. There are many times I've wanted to stop doing what I'm doing, and then when I meet someone that says I'm changing their life or doing something for them, it gets me to keep going. So I do think there's a difference of like that connection in person. But I do think we're like everyone's, and it's like I feel like I know you guys, but then I'm like hearing all these things that I don't know, you know? And I do think I'm in this like, you know, I feel like everyone's like, not saying everyone has figured it out, but like had, you know, especially if you've been on for a while, been on social media, like figured that out, set your boundaries, now you're in a better place. Like I think I'm in this transition right now. Like I'm still trying to set the boundaries, and you asking me that made me realize that like I haven't fully done that yet. Like I get guilty not giving everyone enough of myself, but then I also am trying to protect myself. So I think I'm just in that like transition of like what content is making me happy that I make, like what is my why. And I know I love doing this and I know I love sharing, but I'm still very much trying to figure that out. And in the past year, I went through, you know, a depression and all this stuff, and I'm in so much of a better place now. But I still want to please my followers and make them happy, and I'm trying to figure out that balance.
I think that's why these conversations are so important, and like festivals like this are so important. And that's why you FaceTime me from the shower.
That's why.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for having us. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's give it up for our panelists.
And you.
Oh, okay, thank you. No,
Well
please.
done, Tefi.
Okay, bye guys.
Thank you.